welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you so much for joining us. Today on our program, Uganda celebrates its first gay pride parade. The dancers of Fukushima get a very special lesson. And we'll hear about the films nominated for the Israeli Academy Awards. But firstly, Avri Rosen-Tzvi is here with the latest geek news. Avri, take it away.
Okay, so this week it was announced that we're going to get a big screen adaptation of the TV series Babylon 5. It was a science fiction. A classic. It ran for 5 seasons between 1993 and 1998. Warner Brothers produced it. It was a space opera about a space station. It had some wonderful
seasons and some that were a little less so.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't win them all. It was about a space station, a diplomatic hub of where alien races sort of came together after a big war, which the humans were involved with.
Who's responsible for this adaptation?
Well, it was J. Michael Straczynski. But first, I want to tell you a little bit more. It was a very special show for 2 reasons.
Okay.
First, it was the first show to have full CG effects on screen, and it looks pretty bad right now. But it was pretty cutting edge.
It was pretty cutting edge. It was impressive.
But the second thing, which was really sort of groundbreaking, is that it was designed from the beginning. It was conceived as a 5-season series, and it worked. I mean, he designed all the stories, all the story arcs in advance. It was really unheard of at the time because, first of all, nobody prepared that long, and and they didn't cancel him in the middle.
That was without a doubt, an achievement. Who's this Straczynski fellow?
Well, J. Michael Straczynski has really been sort of in the background of pop culture and TV and film for 35 years. He started in animation. He was a writer on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Respect.
He wrote some episodes of Murder, She Wrote.
Even more respect.
He really was there behind the scenes, and you know him from a few other things. For a few years now, he's been writing comic books, and the plot of the Thor movie, which we got on the big screen, actually came from a run he did in comic books. He wrote the Clint Eastwood movie, The Changeling, with Angelina Jolie.
So he dabbled in drama.
He dabbled and he has his own imprint called Joe's Comics. He does a lot of stuff. He's a very prolific writer. And
so when are we getting the film? When does this happen?
Well, we don't know yet. It's the ball is now in Warner Brothers' court. They're the ones who made the series, but even if they pass on it, Straczynski had a clause in his contract that any movie adaptations he can do without them.
Oh.
So even if they say...
If he really wants it done...
And he says he wants it. He says if they say no, he's going to produce it on his own in his studio and just raise the money.
Crowdsourcing.
Crowdsourcing.
The solution to all of all of our problems.
I'm sure geeks will give happily.
I'm sure so. Thanks, Avli.
Thank you.
Moving on, Uganda has just thrown its first gay pride parade, celebrating the overturning of a controversial anti-gay law. This victory represents a small step in the cultural battle of LGBT people to gain acceptance in Africa. Daniel Campos has the story.
This flamboyant celebration would be very unlikely to happen just a few months ago. The first gay pride rally in Uganda was held recently to celebrate the overturning of a controversial punitive anti-gay law. The activists gathered at the botanical gardens on the shores of Lake Victoria, barely a kilometer from the presidential palace at Entebbe, to celebrate gay pride after the decree that sentenced homosexuals to life in jail was removed by the courts. Homosexuality remains illegal in Uganda, punishable by jail sentence, but it is no longer illegal to promote homosexuality, and Ugandans are no longer obligated to inform on gays to the authorities.
When the gay bill was passed, my dad wrote a letter to me, and he denounced me in a written letter that I have at home. He told me today and forever never, you know, to my kid, never even again to be buried on our burial sites. If you talk to our family member, I'll never talk to them. So, as a person, I pass through a lot.
The suffering that most of these LGBT citizens have faced goes beyond rejection and harassment. The media in Uganda has served as a tool for hateful propaganda against them. These are the tragic images of the funeral of David, a gay activist who was murdered in cold blood.
We've been ready for a very long time because this is a battle that is about life and death for us. So we are always ready. Even right now we are ready for whatever comes.
Uganda's controversial president Yoweri Museveni tends to claim that homosexuality is a result of foreign cultural interference. But the main Ugandan opposition leader, Dr. Kiza Besigye, thinks differently.
Homosexuality is as Ugandan as all other Ugandan behaviors. It has nothing to do with the foreigners.
In the African continent, South Africa is known to be the most open-minded country when it comes to gay rights. Although violations of gay rights often occur, the country is the only one to include a sexual orientation clause in its Bill of Rights. Events such as Mr. Gay World in Johannesburg and the Gay Pride Parade in Cape Town are proof of this freedom. The overturning of the law in Uganda is expected to have an impact in other African countries. Some experts believe that countries like Zambia have been copying Uganda in their harsh stance against homosexuals. In July, 2 Zambian men charged with having consensual gay sex were acquitted after magistrates said the state failed to provide sufficient evidence. Philip Mubiana and James Mwape had been held since May last year and faced 15 years or more in jail for having sexual relations. Homosexuality in modern-day Africa is a difficult topic with the enormous diversity of countries, tribes, religions, and political systems. While in some countries it seems impossible for homosexuals to ever be accepted, there's anthropological evidence showing that a number of African cultures exhibit a degree of accommodation of homosexuality, bringing hope of a brighter future for LGBT people in the continent.
I move in the right direction. In 2011, tragedy struck in Fukushima, Japan, and now 3 years later, some residents still remain traumatized by the events. Dancers of the Paris Opera Ballet came to the city to try to ease their troubles with some unique classes. Sandy Fotis has the details.
For these young Japanese dancers, this is not a regular class. Their teacher for a day are highly respected dancers from the Paris Opera. They have come to Fukushima to fulfill the dream of these young ballerinas, all of which are affected by the painful memories of March 11th of 2011, the day when the tsunami struck the nuclear power plant, causing an ecological and humanitarian disaster in the region.
I had to stop dancing after the disaster. We left Fukushima for a while, but I always thought about how much I wanted ballet classes. So as soon as we could go home, I continued classes.
These concentrated lessons help these passionate dancers forget about their difficulties, focus, and learn from the expertise of the French professionals.
It's always important for me to meet young dancers and teach them what I was taught, to give them advice so they can move forward in a way that may be able to get them to dance professionally, and then to bring them a little happiness. We have come a long way from France, Paris, maybe they watch YouTube videos of us, so for them I think it's also nice to have direct contact with us.
This is the second time that the star dancers go to Fukushima. This year they managed to extend their activities to 5 schools in the city. To thank them, their young students prepared a surprise, a performance in costume. A show in which graduates of the school who are now active professionals in Europe and the United States will take part.
Some children are still living in discomfort since the disaster, but they practice ballet with all their strength and it helps them feel better. It's great to be able to forget your trouble by dancing.
It's a unique experience which goes beyond forgetting the tragedies of the past. For the young dancers of Fukushima, the stars of the Paris Opera represent the future to aspire to.
In a moment, we'll hear about the nominees for the Israeli Ophir Awards. But first, a few cultural events from around the world.
Making Color, the first exhibition of its kind in the UK, invites you on an artistic and scientific voyage of discovery. From sparkling minerals to crushed insects, learn about the surprising materials used to create pigments and the incredible journey made by artists in the pursuit of new tones. Spanning hundreds of years from the early Renaissance to the Impressionist movement, the exhibition takes place at the National Gallery until September the 7th. The works displayed at Painting and Sculpture I span from the years 1880 to 1940, within an overall chronological flow. Galleries highlight individual stylistic movements, artists, and themes, including Cubism, the work of Henri Matisse, and Claude Monet's Water Lilies, among other subjects. The exhibition presents an effort to feature a wide range of artworks in various configurations to explore the history of modern art. The exhibition will run throughout the year at the Museum of Modern Art. The visualizations of self-awareness as a marginal estranged motion is at the essence of the work of Leron Kroll. In Sandbach's, Kroll focuses on a specific moment of acknowledgement and realization. Her characters, those whom we see within the image and those whose presence is only implied. The exhibition will take place at Sema Contemporary Art Gallery in Tel Aviv until August the 14th.
And now, after too long a break, Shachar Peled is back for her segment, Off Screen. Where have you been all my life?
Oh, so good to be back. Well, we're back, and we're back to Israel. But no more war or bombings, thank God. We're talking about the local version.
For now.
For now, yes, and hopefully we'll continue this way. We're talking now about the local version of the Oscars here in Israel, the Ophir ceremony, which will take place in late September. But this week, the nominees have been announced, and once again, they will try and be the first Israeli film to be the best foreign film in the real Academy Awards in America.
It's about time.
Yes, hopefully. And there are
some strong nominees.
It is a strong year today in Israel, this year in Israel. We've got a very good films. Let's start with the leading film, which is A Farewell Party, with 14 nominations.
And I think that means every category. It's nominated, I think, in every category.
Yes, it's nominated for almost every category. It's by Sharon Maimon and Tal Granit, who directed about a bunch of friends in an old age house. They're trying a sort of a self-euthanasia device to help another friend die with dignity.
Dramatic comedy, or
sort of a dark comedy, but it's supposed to be
an incredible cast.
Yes, a credible cast. Supposed to be a thrilling, hilarious, and very emotional film, and it will premiere in the Venice Film Festival late August. And following it is both Zero Motivation and the film Get. Get is once again another collaboration between Ronit Alkabetz
Two very different films, we should
absolutely,
say.
Absolutely. We'll start with Get. It's another collaboration, a trilogy, at the end of the trilogy of Ronit and Shlomi Alkabetz, the famous brother and sister. Ronit Alkabetz also is in this film about a woman trying to divorce her husband. And Zero Motivation by Talia Levi, which we've talked about, also nominated for 12 nominations.
Hilarious.
And I've mentioned 3 films thus far, and also 3 female directors. So this is amazing. It's a great year for female directors here in Israel.
Only one male director nominated.
Absolutely, yes. And the rest are exactly. The rest are women. All these films are nominated also for Best Pictures, picture together with Yona, about the Israeli poet Yona Volach, and the film, the last film is Atli Laila. This is a film, I think its translation is You Are My Night, about a very emotional, yes, exactly, a very emotional film that already...
We had him on the show to talk about it, a very interesting film, also starring Dana Ivgi.
Exactly, it startled audiences in the Cannes Film Festival, showing Dana Ivgi as a retarded woman. She's on a roll this year, both in Zero Motivation and in this film, Atli Laila. She's nominated for her performances. She's the daughter of renowned actor Moshe Ivgi, and this is definitely her year. Also, after 2 Israeli films last year tried their way in the documentary section, but lost to Searching for Sugarman, this year The Green Prince will try, although he has to win the local documentary contest here. And finally, in an act of solidarity, this year the ceremony will take place in Ashdod, the southern city of Ashdod, that has been, like the rest of the south, under ongoing fire for the past 14 years, but especially the past month with Operation Protective Edge.
Shachar, thank you so much. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
That's it from us for today. We'll be back next week with a whole new edition of Culture for You. Till then, we'll leave you today with a video made by Entertainment Weekly. It's sort of a public service announcement meant to raise awareness to character actors, those hardworking actors you see in many films and television series but don't know the names of. You're sure to see some familiar faces.
Hey, I'm that guy from that thing. Not that thing, the other thing with the, not him, the other, yeah, I'm that guy.
Villains, co-workers, supportive best friends,
and other often thankless roles.
There's not a lot of glory in it, but it's what we do. And yet, our time has come.
The change has already begun. That guy from Parks and Rec, you know, that guy, he's in one of the summer's most anticipated movies. But he still had to lose weight and, like, get fully ripped, you know? They didn't want him as he was.
No, Hollywood. It's time.